And after a decade of working with freshmen at Stanford University, a former dean noticed something that didn't add up. Julie Lythcott-Haims saw a deluge of students with book smarts, but not the skills to live independently. Her new book is called How to Raise an Adult. She writes, parents protect, direct, and handle so much for children today that we prevent them from the very growth that is essential to their development into adult human beings. Julie, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Such a terrific book. I think so incredibly timely. Parents will love it and devour it because it's such a concern. You say instead of thinking about raising children, we need to be thinking about raising adults. Are we too much of helicopter parents?
We are. In my book, I talk about the 3 types of overparenting. We're overprotective, we are providing way too much direction, and we're doing a lot of hand-holding, or what I call concierging our kids. With the best of intentions from a very loving place, we're doing too much for them, and we're undercutting their chances to be self-actualized, competent, capable, confident adults.
So how did this happen, Julie? Because you point to very specific things.
Absolutely. I think there were a lot of forces at work in the early 1980s that really conspired against children in some ways. First, our fear of stranger danger was born. A couple of terrible, high-publicized cases of stranger abduction made it into the media, and our nation's sense that there were strangers lurking on every corner was born. The statistics don't bear out those fears, and yet we act as if that's likely to happen. Number 2, the play date was born in 1984. Parents began scheduling play, but more than that, supervising play, intervening when kids were having trouble working things out for themselves. The self-esteem movement was born also in the early 1980s, the sense that we should just applaud kids for showing up, give them a trophy and a ribbon and a certificate. And then finally, A Nation at Risk was published, and it said we weren't faring as well in the U.S. as against our compared to our international peers, and kids needed to be taught to the test, more testing, more homework. So this confluence of things happening in the early 1980s resulted in a set of young adults who came to college starting in the late 1990s, who still had their parents very much involved in their academic lives, their personal lives, and so on.
I mean, here you are.
Didn't know what to do.
Here you are, a professor at Stanford, some of the smartest adults in the country, and yet they lack basic life skills, as you point out. And I thought one of the chapters you go through, how do you teach your kids basic life skills?
Absolutely. Let me clarify. I was not a professor. I was dean of freshmen.
Oh,
it's an
dean,
important
sorry,
distinction.
dean.
But anyway, what we've got to remember is our job as parents is to put ourselves out of a job. And kids don't magically become adult on their 18th birthday. Okay, childhood is meant to prepare the way. And so whether it's learning how to make a meal, or learning when to cross the street on your own, or how to talk to strangers, we've got to put opportunities for our kids to develop independence, into their daily lives.
This is so fundamental. It seems to me we don't even need a book about it.
No, we don't need a book about it, although now we do, as
we
it turns
have
out,
one,
Charlie.
It is so
we need
fundamental that you need to be independent, self-sufficient. You can't be a dependent person all your life. I mean, I always thought that Douglas MacArthur's mother went too far when she moved in to the Thayer Hotel when he went to West Point.
That's right. That's right.
But you said parents do that. They take parallel trips.
They do. And, there are examples in my book from the seemingly benign, like a kid who shows up at college and his boxes have arrived and they're out on the sidewalk and he doesn't have a sense of how to marshal some support to carry those boxes inside because he's just never had to ask for help. To the much more concerning, a young investment banker whose mother was concerned that he was working too hard, and she found the landline for his boss and called the boss and said, you're working my kid too hard. And on Monday morning he arrived, at his high-rise skyscraper here in New York, found a box of his belongings, with a note on it saying, call your mother. The mother had called the boss and said, how dare you work my kid too hard? With the best of intentions, we're actually making our kids appear much weaker in the workplace.
It's like those parents who beat up on coaches.
That's exactly right. Coaches, referees, principals, teachers, these were once respected adults and authority figures in our kids' lives and in the life of our community. And now parents seem to think, no, I need to go and argue with that adult on behalf of my kid. What we need to do is teach our kids to have those conversations on their own behalf so that one day they'll be adults capable for themselves.
Well, you really had some great lessons in the book, even by age group, about things your kids should know. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And How to Raise an Adult is on sale now.